blessed be the God and Father of our Lord, who hath blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in according as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will, to the praise of the glory of his grace, wherein he hath made us accepted in the beloved.
Esdras saw upon the Mount Zion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel, and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of Yahweh. Now are they crowned, and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of Yahweh, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Then the angel said unto me, Go thy way, and tell my people what manner of things, and how great wonders of the Lord thy God thou hast seen.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, dealing with, nothing is working, all right, for you Americans, all right, and the only thing left is judgment. Okay, the only thing that remains, all right, for the American society, aka Babylon, all right, spiritual Egypt, okay, the new, all right, Roman Empire, all right, is nothing but harsh judgment from on high. Okay, and we live in a society, where the elites, have used America, to bamboozle the earth, and there's nowhere where the delusion is more real than in America itself. All right, America is the most delusional society on the earth. Okay, almost everything that the American, population believe is a lie. Okay, even the little truth that they do know is so saturated, all right, with so many lies, all right, that little piece of truth that they do know, okay, is voided out. Okay, and I want to get a few precepts, and I got a video I want to go into. The guy Shahid Boslin, which I haven't tapped in with him in a while, but just been catching up on some of his videos, which, like I said, we always know. We always put the disclaimer out, that he's Islam, but he does make, good points, when it comes to analyzing, American culture, its history, okay, and where it's headed, you know. And at the end of the day, he says some things, that we can back up, with scriptures. All right. So I want to start off here with Psalms 43:1. It says, "Judge me, O power, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation," man. Okay. And see, people are so delusional. People still look at America, as, being founded on Christian values and, being, the moral fabric, okay, of the earth. No, America was completely, all right, rooted in wickedness, all right, blood, all right, theft, okay, deception. You see, that's the foundation of America. And this is what America is built on, okay? And now we're seeing shameful spewing on this glory, okay? So, we, as the hopeful elect of Israel, we're pleading to our power, to judge, all right, this ungodly nation, man. It says, "Oh, deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man." And this is the characteristic of the ruler. They're deceitful and unjust. Okay, and you still have people delusional in America floating around, all right, thinking that there's some way to fix, okay, the problem, okay, of this society. But no, this society is meant to work against you. Okay, nothing works for you people. Okay, the little integrity and, honesty that America, once had, that's all gone. That's all corrupt now. Okay, the fairness, certain things work for you at a point. You had the roaring 50s, and okay, you had a time where it did work. You know, the government did benefit, society. Okay, you did have some type of structure, and you see, you did have a system, all right, that you can benefit from. All right, but now that's been completely taken over by Satanists and oligarchs, man, which are Edomites, man. Okay, so now nothing is working, okay, for you people, man. And the only thing left for American society is judgment. That's it. That's the only thing, all right, that this place is awaiting, is the judgment that's written in the scriptures. Okay, let's get this in Sirach chapter 10, verse 3. It says, "An unwise king destroyed his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited," man. Okay, so an unwise king destroyed his people. So this is the rulership of an unwise king. All right, and the kings of the earth are the elite banking families, man. Okay, these nations, all right, are indebted to the elite banking families. Okay, when they talk about American debt, well, American debt is owed to who? The elite banking families, man, the true kings of the earth. Okay, they run this whole beast system. You see, they control this thing we call money. All right, the food supply, the educational curriculum. Okay, the wages. Okay, the elites control these things. You see, the kings of the earth. All right, and an unwise king destroyed his people. All right, so you have, a government set up to where nothing works in your favor. You're constantly, being propagandized. Okay, you're constantly being put under some type of psyops. Okay, he constantly sprinkling in poison everywhere he can: the food, the clothes, the air, the water, everywhere he can. He's putting poison in you, man. All right, whether he's physically putting it in you through, the food supply, okay, through psychological warfare, through the music, entertainment, the media, okay, dumb you down with the school curriculum, okay, and these smart devices, okay, because the smarter these devices get, the dumber people get, man. Okay, so this is the rulership of an unwise king, where every day you wake up and go to sleep with everything in society working against you, man. Okay, so let's go here. I want to get this video. All right, this is the guy from Middle Nation, Shaheed Boslin. Okay, and this is a video he did last week. All right, and it's called "Trump is the Devil's Due." you know. So let's play this video and touch on some points, you know, that he's going to make. All right, now this whole video is good, you know, but we're just going to jump around, you know, for time's sake and hit the main points. But I'll put it, okay, in the chat. All right, for you brothers, you know, you sisters want to watch all of it. It's about 35 minutes, okay, but it's worth the watch. All right, he makes some points, okay, but he's saying it from a Islamic perspective, okay, but we know the true power and we understand the judgment that's coming, you know. We can explain, you know, what he's saying through precepts. All right, so let's because one thing about it, you're not going to get any, you know, precepts, okay, out of Quran that explains what's going to happen to this man, okay, and why it's going to happen. You see, so let's play this. Let me go to it.
Understand how ugly your society is, really. You don't understand it because you are the propagandized. You're not the propagandists. You're the ones who are indoctrinated. You're the ones who are hypnotized. You're not the hypnotists. You know, you're the one that the trick is being pulled on. You're not the one that's pulling off the tricks. You're the one that the joke is on. You're not the ones who are laughing. So you don't really understand. You're living in a hallucination. Even the ones that you think are on your side are actually from among the same people who are pumping you full of hallucinogens so that you never understand what's going on. You think these people are your allies. But imagine if you're in a fight and your friend doesn't jump in and start swinging, even though they're MMA fighters, they just hang back and tell the crowd, you know, that's my best friend in there. Well, that's not your friend, that's not your ally, and that's not support. If you took together like the top 10 so-called, you know, woke or pro-Palestinian celebrities, you could have a combined pool of money over $1 billion. Over $1 billion. I mean, Mr. Pro-Palestine himself, Roger Waters, has a net worth of around $300 million. Are you telling me that these millionaires, these show business millionaires, can't think of a way to use their wealth and their influence to influence policy the way that every other millionaire in America can figure out? Everyone else knows how to do that. No, nobody is on your side, and it's horrendous. You see, you've been fed a narrative about morality, about virtue, about values, and many of you believe it. Many of you believe that narrative, and you actually do prize those values, but you'll never see them actualized in your society, never. You only see them talked about. You'll see them given lip service, and you'll be gaslighted on the basis of the values that they fed you. That's how it works. That's all. That's what they're for. They're narrative devices of social control. Your heroes are on the villain's side, I hate to tell you, and they're playing you for fools. And the values that
And everybody, you know, in American society, you know, all these people, you know, from Martin Luther King, all right, to Malcolm X, to Alex Jones, okay, to Charleston White, Tupac, okay, everyone that you think was a champion, you know, for the cause of the common people, all right, they're all used, all right, for propaganda, okay, whether it's to, you know, give you partial truth and then still lead you back, okay, down the avenue of being lost, okay, or whether it's to cause you, you know, to rebel, okay, for the sake of the narrative that the devil wants to spin, okay, or whatever the reason might be. Your Candace Owens, they make good points, but you best believe they're controlled opposition, okay, and just like he said, your heroes, all right, are in league with the villain, okay, even the scriptures go into that. Let's get there real quick. In the book of Isaiah, it mentions that Isaiah, the first chapter, okay, and we'll go back into it because he's speaking of these celebrities, you know, that people, you know, rally around. You know, a celebrity might, you know, this so-called outspoken celebrity, you know, your Kanye, you know, your different things. No, none of that is working for your favor. Okay, that's why these guys are, you know, they're the hot topic for a minute. Okay, your Kyrie Irvings. Okay, then these niggas go back, all right, to playing their character. You know, they you know they are the topic. They're the headline for, you know, a few months, and then these niggas are forgotten about. Okay, because they don't just use these All right, these celebrities and movies and entertainment. No, the new entertainment is reality. Okay, so these devils, they have scripted. Okay, most of the reality that's shown to the public. Okay, and it's all to work in their favor. Nothing is working in your favor, man. All right, so let's read this. Dealing with you Israelites, especially Israelite celebrities, because you watch when the MOTB, okay, is put out mainstream. All right, and we're going to see, okay, what celebrities are going to be used the most, man. You best believe it's going to be the Israelite celebrities, man. Jake's, okay. Now it goes to Isaiah 21 and 23, chapter 1, verse 23 says, "Thy princes are rebellious," and a prince is a leader or a ruler. Okay, and who do our people look at as rulers and leaders? Okay, celebrities. Okay, the celebrity machine. All right, that's spoon fed to you by your enemy, the villain. Okay, and that's why I said thy princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts, and this is why these celebrities are paid this money. All right, to persuade the masses. All right, they're being paid for their influence. All right, that's why it's not even about talent anymore. There was a time where you did have to have some type of talent, to be a celebrity. Now it's just about influence. Okay, and that's why they go get the worst people to influence the masses. Okay, but your leaders, okay, your idols, even those that you think are radical and woke, guess what? They're companions of thieves, and the thieves are who? Esau, Edom, and everyone loveth gifts and follow after rewards. And what's the theme amongst niggas and celebrities in these podcasts? Chase the bag, chase the bag. Okay, follow after rewards. Okay, it says they judge not the fatherless, neither does the cause of the widow come unto them. And the fatherless and the widow will be your most vulnerable. Okay, in the society. Okay, and right now, who's the most vulnerable? Jake. Okay, because Jake has been, under warfare, since we got over here, man. Since he came and started a war with the tribes. All right, he brought the Southern Kingdom over. Okay, and it's been a war ever since. All right, and since the 60s, the war been psychological, man. All right, and it has left, the tribes vulnerable, man. Broken families, chemical warfare through crack. Okay, poverty. Okay, and he sets up these leaders. Okay, amongst the vulnerable. Okay, he sets up these wicked and what the scriptures call crooked and perverse leaders amongst the vulnerable, man. You see? All right. So let's go back to it. Let it play some more. We're gonna skip around a little bit.
That you have been taught were only taught to you so that they could fool you with them. It's like if you teach your kids to trust only those adults who wear a certain badge or certain, that's how it works. That's all. That's what they're for. They're narrative devices of social control. Your heroes are on the villain's side, I hate to tell you, and they're playing you for fools. And the values that you have been taught were only taught to you so that they could fool you with them. It's like if you teach your kids to trust only those adults who wear a certain badge or certain uniform or what have you, and then the predators start to wear those badges and those uniforms. For them, the moral talk is just like teaching you code words. Teaching your child a code word, for example. Whoever says this, you can trust them. So now the enemy has an easy way to win your trust. Just use the code word. See, that's what indoctrination is. It means that you have been made to believe in a version of the world that's not real. Because if it was real, then you wouldn't have to be indoctrinated. If it was real, then the propaganda wouldn't be necessary. And that means that the reality that's being hidden from you is something that you would not accept if you knew it. It means that things are going on that are not in your interests, but are in the interests of the people who are spreading the narrative, who control the narrative that you are fed about reality. Do you understand? It means that by definition, things are wildly different than you think. in the world that you live in. And I've talked about this many, many times. You know, some people are triggered by what I say and they accuse me of hating the West. You know, they accuse me of being divisive or what have you. But look, if the truth is hateful to you, or if you think that someone telling you the truth hates you because they're telling you the truth, why do you think that the one who's been lying to you loves you? The fact of the matter is that the West, the collective West, you know, Western Europe and America, have an absolutely grotesque history. And it doesn't matter what level of society you're even talking about, or what aspect of the so-called civilization that you're talking about. I mean, don't get mad at me for what I'm saying. Get mad about having been lied to about it. That's what you should get mad about. I mean, do you know when the Europeans came to the Muslim world during the Crusades? SubhanAllah, they had literally in their lives never met people before who actually were even hygienic.
And we live in a society, you know, because people have been so indoctrinated, you know, that they look at the exposure, you know, the wickedness of society. They look at it as hate, you know, but that's how zombified and indoctrinated the people are. People will be more mad at you for exposing the truth than the people that's actually doing them harm. You know, when you go to Galatians 4:16, it says, "Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" All right, and we live in a society that has been indoctrinated to hate truth. You know, people, all right, people would rather hear lies, even amongst Jake. Okay, you go back into the scriptures to get that again, Isaiah. Okay, people are much more comfortable with lies, you know, because the truth, you know, is so far out there. Okay, and you know, you'd be like, God damn, you know, that's why scriptures say you increase in wisdom, you increase in sorrow, man. You know, as we, you know, the spirit is on us to investigate this devil, you know, to uh, go into his wickedness. And, you know, a lot of times you go into what this devil is doing, and it's like, God damn, you know, hey, the truth is tough, man. What this nigga is really doing, you know, and a lot of people, all right, they're not built to accept it. Okay, Isaiah 30:8, especially Jake, man, says, "Now go, write it before them in the table and note it in the book, that it may be for the time to come forever and never, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that would not hear the law of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, which say to the seer, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits." Okay, and people would rather hear, you know, smooth lies than hard truth, you know, because they have been, you know, pampered and conditioned, you know, with convenience and, you know, false hope. Okay, false sense of security. Okay, you know, they have no understanding of the wickedness of the country that they live in, or the government that they vote for. Okay, everything that they've been told is a lie. Okay, and for them, you know, truth would mean to they would have to rethink everything, and that's why even Yahweh Shai, you know, you go here to the book of St. John chapter 3. You know, it's a hard wake up, you know, from the deception of Babylon. Okay. This is St. John 3:3. It says, Yahweh Shai answered, said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High. Okay, and that's why it takes a born again mind, you know, to accept the truth. Okay, because trying to hold on to the values of this world, all right, that's why scripture also go into you can't put new wine in the old bottle. Okay, because it'd be a conflict. You see, and new wine doesn't mix with the old wine. All right, and that's why it takes like I say, it takes a born again mind to accept this truth, man. You know, because it's just been generations of indoctrinations of falsehood. All right, and everything it only gets more corrupt to what everything is working against you in this society, man. None of these federal bureaucracies, all right, are in your favor. Okay, the people that's supposed to inspect your food, the FDA, the USDA. You know, I might get a strike, you know, just for mentioning this, which just show you how wicked this society is. Okay, when you speak about the harmfulness of this society, you risk, you know, being silenced. Okay, as you go into OSHA, you know, none of these things work for you. Nothing is working for you. Okay, while you're crying about, you know, not being able to afford anything, there's supposed to be people that regulate, all right, inflation. There's supposed to be people that regulate the poison that they allow in the food. There's supposed to be people that regulate, you know, you know, the prescriptions that they allow, all right, and you know, the things, you know, the pharmaceutical industry. Those things are supposed to be regulated. Okay, nothing is being regulated, man. All right, this is a free for all society. Everything is extremely corrupt now. All right, and the integrity that these different entities did have, it's all gone. They're bought and paid for. Okay, and everything, all right, is working for, all right, the favor of the oligarchs, man. These elite families that run the earth, man. Okay, nothing is working for you, American people that still have some faith, all right, in this society, man. Okay, the MAGAs, all right, MAGA people are confused. All right, they voted for a man, all right, that is just putting them out of business. As you went into the video dealing with what was that? We went into that video dealing with what was his name? Oh yeah, Nebraska. You know, the people in Nebraska, they was crying about, you know, them, you know, going out of business, you know, because of, you know, their migrant workers, okay, were being deported, okay, but they voted for a man that told them they were going to deport the migrants, okay, and it just shows you that people, all right, have just been dumbed down to the point to where they don't know how their government works. They don't know what they're voting for. They don't know how the different bureaucracies, which are these non-elected government officials, they don't know how they're supposed to be working for the people. They don't know anything. Okay, anything outside of being entertained or distraction or convenience, people have no clue. Okay, America, everybody just want to kick it. You see, this is the most easily controlled society in the world. Okay. Y'all let me know if the sound good. I don't know what happened, if it sound went out, but let me know if the sound good or not. But I want to cue up this next part of this video. Let's go here. Go to about the 14-minute mark. All right, so now, okay, the water broke. But yeah, so now when you go into this part, you know, because he's going into where you have to face the reality of the society that you live in. He said that's just phase one. Now phase two, you know, which he's finna go in, all right, is the judgment that comes with it. All right, because just, you know, being awakened to the truth, okay, that's just phase one. All right. Now, that's the beautiful thing about being an Israelite, is that we have a chance, all right, to be pardoned. Okay, we have a chance to be delivered, all right, from the Lord's wrath that's to come to this place. All right, and that's something that can't be turned around. Okay. You see, you people can't just acknowledge truth and think, okay, now you got a clean slate. No, there has to be a payment. America has done so much in the earth that there has to be a payment. All right. There has to be a judgment to get things right. Okay. So let's play this and then we'll get some more precepts. All right.
That's the first level of recognition that you have to come around to. A lot of Westerners will get so triggered and so defensive about this that they won't even be able to accept this layer of reality, much less the next layer of reality, because the next layer is even harder. to reconcile yourself with if you're a Westerner. The next layer is realizing that there is no escaping the consequences of your history, and realizing that those consequences are in fact being imposed upon you right now, especially in America, but in Europe too. I mean, look at Europe. It's falling apart. Europe is falling apart. They're going extinct. And even though
all right, and we know Europe, all right, is a part of this beast system. You know, there's going to be a judgment on this whole beast system, but we know, all right, the peak of judgment, the climax of judgment is going to be here in America. All right, but I've been, you know, looking at things in Europe. All right, but you know, there's been so much going on in Babylon. All right, but I just YouTube, you know, is Europe declining? All right, and look what you have: the strange death of Europe. Okay, why Europe is struggling to keep peace. Okay, is Europe declining? Okay, economic update: Europe declines faster than the United States. Okay, so these devils are suffering. This beast system is suffering, man. Okay, it said how Europe sabotages on the economy. Okay, because it's about these elite families now. All right, you Edomites that are not a part of their 1 percentile. All right, you're 2-time losers, man. Okay, will Germany ever escape its economic crisis? Okay, you see, is Europe losing its influence? You know, and it's just decline. Okay, it's another one by Shahid Basem, The Decline of Europe, a savage, right? Civilization slow collapse. Okay, why is Europe's economy is falling behind everyone else, man? So it's over for you devils, man. Okay, Europe, America, all you're done. Okay, the Lord is brewing the judgment. All right, so let's go back. You know, here, you see, and like you know, it's always something about Europe popping up, but I was saying it's so much, you know, going on in Babylon. All right, so yeah, let's let this play.
their own natural extinction isn't fast enough for them. They're rushing towards war and conflict on the continent. Macron just told hospitals in France that they need to be ready for a European war by next year, war with Russia. They're tearing their own societies apart. They're impoverishing themselves. They're enslaving themselves. They're deindustrializing themselves. They're being asset stripped. Exactly what they did to the people that they colonized. Europe is tumbling into the abyss of their own making. But America, the imperial heir of Europe, the neoliberal economic firing squad of corporate power, they used to spray their bullets like a mass shooter all across the global south, all across the Muslim world, all across Africa, all across so-called Latin America. Well, America is descending into madness. You're descending into madness because you're cursed. That's why I've said you cannot properly analyze geopolitics. You cannot properly analyze geopolitics if you exclude the reality of divine justice. You cannot exclude God from your assessments. You can't exclude Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from your forecasts. And you cannot be as unjust, as brutal, as degenerate, as wicked as America has been, and actually think that the consequences are not going to be severe. You understand? The suffering of whole continents at your hands is going to ricochet back onto America. I said you're cursed. You know it and I know it. That's the truth. We both know this. Because you can't have any sort of religious sense, any religious sense of justice, and not know that. Even if you call yourself a Christian, if you call yourself believing in God in any way whatsoever, you cannot pretend that you don't know that America is cursed, and it has been cursed ever since you all landed over there in the first place and started massacring the indigenous people and stealing their land. What your Zionist brigades are doing to the Palestinians right now is just a fraction of what you did to the Native Americans. What Hitler did was a fraction of what you did, in fact. And you really think that you were going to be able to escape the consequences of that? Of course not. Obviously not. Why do you even think for a minute that you could escape the consequences of decimating millions upon millions of people? To think that you would get away with that, wallahi, to even think that you could get away with that, to even think that you would never be held accountable for that is blasphemy. It's blasphemous for you to think that you could get away scot-free, especially when you have never even done anything ever since then, except to compound the wrongdoing and to add to your record of crimes. You understand me? You have done nothing to atone. You haven't done anything to atone for what you have done. You and I both know that. Genocide, chattel slavery, rape, torture, lynching, murder, dehumanization, discrimination, segregation, exploitation, subjugation, war all around the world. Well, what sort of a God do you worship that would turn a blind eye to all of that? What kind of a God did you have in mind when you say God bless America? Because I know you're not talking about the God. I know you're not talking about the creator of the universe. Bless America for what? Bless America for what? If you did what you did and then say, God bless America, that's just another blasphemy. Well, you're taking the Lord's name in vain when you say, God bless America. That's the truth. You can't invoke God to bless what he has prohibited. You can't invoke God to bless what he punishes, to bless what causes his wrath. You have been worshiping someone else entirely, something else entirely. You have taken a whole other being as your God. If you actually think that your actions merit any sort of blessing, no one would bless what you have done as a nation except Iblis. No one would approve of what you have done except for the devil himself. That's why I told you that.
Yeah, man. So you see, you know, yeah, man, he going in, and when he talking about Iblis, you know, and he gonna that's you know, Islam, because that's where you get Satan from. You know, the word Satan, Shaitan, you know, from the Quran. Well, yeah, he be going in, you know. Hey, the spirit you can tell with the spirit, you know, get on him, you know. I say he be going in. Okay. But yeah, man, we're gonna let him cook a little more, and then we're just gonna get some precepts. All right, but he goes in, okay, on America, man. What the hell? And people still say bless America. Okay, for what? Okay, and it's just a bunch of precepts come to mind, all right, that vindicate what's being said, you know.
And why you need to know, you need to understand this about your society. The West has been worshiping the jinn. They've been worshiping the shayateen ever since prehistory, like I said, and that formed the whole character.
And the thing is talking about Satan, all right. That's what Islam calls Satan. So you get Shaitan, the adversary. Okay. But you know, the jinn, this goes back to demons, you know, the genie, you know, all those different, but that goes back to demons. Okay. And this is what America is founded upon. Okay. Witchcraft, Satanism. You see, now it's just coming to the forefront. You know, they've, you know, hidden behind the mask of Christianity, which their form of Christianity is nothing but pagan worship. That's why Christianity, okay, the Christianity of America, of the West, is infused with nothing but pagan rituals, man. Sunday worship, okay, pagan holidays. You see, pagan myths, all right, the hell doctrine, and you know, pagan myths, Greek mythology has nothing to do with the truth of the Bible, nothing to do with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see. And Satanism, all right, has dominates, okay, the culture of America, man. Rebellion, alphabet community, you know, the generous young niggas, all that feminism, all that goes back to Satanism. Okay, and that's the popular culture of America. You see,
the whole ethos of their so-called civilization. You can't properly understand the West if you don't understand that. Honestly, you can't be dismissive about that. And like I said last time, this is in fact exactly why they are almost the only people in the whole world who pretend that the devil doesn't exist. They're almost the only people. They're the only people. The people in the Muslim world, the people in Africa, the people in Latin America, the people in Asia. Everyone knows this is real. Even in places like Russia and China, after decades of state-imposed atheism, most people there even also still accept this reality. Different people in different places call the jinn different things, sure. demons, ghosts, fairies, spirits, whatever the case may be. But we know the reality. We know the reality of the unseen. But your so-called civilization insists on denying it. Exactly the same way that they deny everything else that's true about reality, that's true about themselves. Well, their denial is conspicuous in this way. It's a protective, defensive denial. Because no one else is more closely aligned, in fact, and more subservient to the shayateen as much as your society. So that denial is part of what is expected of you. That's part of the cover-up that is expected of you. And that's just par for the course with you, because anyway, you cover up everything already as it is. Now listen, again, I'm not attacking you. Understand me. Please understand me. If your house is on fire and I come to tell you that your house is burning and you need to get out, are you going to get defensive because you think I'm insulting your house? Use your mind. There's a poison gas leak in your building, and your building manager is trying to tell you that everything is fine, and I'm trying to tell you that it's going to kill you. You tell me which one of us, me or that manager, cares more about you and more about your welfare and your well-being. Don't get mad at me. Well, I think that the gas has already gotten to your brain if you can't think straight enough to know that I'm trying to tell you something for your own good. Look, I'm telling you, there is no way to escape the consequences. Okay, I didn't do this to you. Your ancestors did this to you. Your own ancestors did this to you. Your ancestors and your leaders today, your media today, your schools today. Like I said, recognizing and acknowledging the reality of what your ancestors really did and what they really were, and yes, who they really worshiped, understanding that is just the first layer. And as soon as someone accepts this reality, that layer, they just accept that. Then they'll jump immediately to, well, how do we make a change? I'm not like my ancestors. Isn't that good enough? How do we make a change so that we can avoid these negative consequences? Because they haven't accepted that second layer, that most important second layer, which is that the consequences cannot be avoided, cannot be evaded, cannot be resisted, and cannot be defied. The punishment is already underway in America. And like I said, at least.
Yeah, man. And, you know, y'all can watch the rest of it. I'll put the link in the chat. You know, I'll put it up there again. You know, I know it probably got buried. But, yeah. So, you know, I got to get back on my guy. I ain't watched him in a minute. You know, I got to catch up on him. All right, because he be cooking. But, so let's get some precepts, you know. Let's get some precepts to bag up, you know, the things that he was saying. Well, first off, all right, what people don't understand, all right, the Lord is going to reach back, all right, and judge this place for all his wickedness, man. Okay, and the judgment is unavoidable, and it's already in motion. You see, this is what you Americans don't understand. All this crying and complaining on TikTok and about your job and about the job market and about you can't make it. And well, that's judgment in progress. All right. And it only gets worse. Okay. This is just the first phase of judgment. All right. That we're seeing. You know what I'm saying? The Lord. All right. Hey, this is just a layup line. He ain't even start shooting jump shots yet. Okay. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 3:15. It said that which had been is now. Okay, so that generation, all right, all these generations, all this wickedness that has been done since America has been in power, you best believe these generations are back. And these devils in general, all these wicked Caesars and, you know, these elite families of the ancient Roman Empire, the Greeks, and, you know, all the persecution and destruction, all right, that they've done in all these different ages, they're back. Okay, it says, and that which is to be have already been, and the Most High required that which is past, man. Okay, so the Most High required what's past, so the Lord is going to reach back and judge this place, man. Okay, when you go into, all right, the scriptures, Isaiah 14:21, it said, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, all right, nor fill the face of the world with cities, man. See, the Lord is finna close up. Okay, he's finna completely cut the wicked off. You see, this is that great judgment that has been building up since the beginning. Okay, now everything is coming full circle. There's no reversing it. Waking up to it, that doesn't put a break. That doesn't put brakes on the judgment. No. Okay? You just been awakened to know why you're being judged. Okay, said, for I will rise up against them, said the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant, the son and nephew, said the Lord. And that's complete judgment, man. You see, we're finna see complete judgment, okay, in the earth, man. Okay, beginning with Esau, rulership and kingdom being obliterated, his authority being snatched, and him being the least in the earth. And then eventually, all right, his lineage is going to be done away with. Okay? All this wickedness that this devil has reaped in the earth, all right, and you American people, you know, you still support, all right, a system that's even destroying you. You know, you cry about, all right, the unfairness of this system, but then you go and vote. But then you cheer on, all right, America as they destroy these other nations, man. Okay? They're cheering about, you know, the Venezuela. They're cheering about the deportation. They're cheering. You see, you cheer on, all right, your government and all this wickedness. Okay, you still got Americans that think, you know, America should, you know, back the small hats no matter what they do. There's no bigger support system for those small hats than you American evangelical, all right, Christians. Okay, and it said Job 4:8, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. Okay, now we're seeing America begin to reap. Okay, they plowed all this iniquity. They've enjoyed, you know, robbing the earth, being the thieves of the earth, man. Okay, they've enjoyed, you know, the convenience of empire, the perks that come with empire. All right, but it's been a wicked empire. You see, and now there's a judgment. Okay, you go to Numbers. Okay, you go to Numbers 35 and 33. Okay, we started with just power, man. You see, now judgment is coming home and it's settling in. You see, and this is the reality that these devils don't want to deal with. Okay, you Americans don't want to deal with. Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Okay? And you devils have a lot of blood on your hand. America has a lot of blood on his hands, man. Okay? That's why if you go here to Revelation 17 and you jump down, okay, is verse 4, Revelation 17 and 4. It says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of the abominations and filthiness of her fornication, man. So America, all right, has been this decorated whore in the earth, man. You know, that allure all the nations into a rebellion against righteousness, man, with the cup of her fornications, man, which goes back into paganism, man, idolatry. Okay, and America has been the chief place of Satan in the earth. You see, and it says, and upon her forehead was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Okay, you think that there's no judgment for that? That the Lord's going to judge this place lightly? Okay, when it is known in the Bible as what? The abomination of the earth, man. Okay, it says, and I saw a woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So you go into this word drunken. Okay, let's get this word drunken, man. You see? Nah, man, the judgment, you done, man. All right, so you go into this word drunken.
Strong's G 3184, Methuo.
Methuo. Okay, it says metaphorically of one who has shed blood or murder profusely. Okay, of one who has shed blood or murdered profusely, man. And America is guilty of this, man. Look what it did to the tribes, okay? The northern tribes when they first came, okay? Look at the slaughter on the southern kingdom, just the transportation over here, and then, the treatment, all right, of the southern kingdom, okay, within chattel slavery, man. Okay, all the way up until now. Okay, the chemical warfare on the tribes, man. You see, with the drugs. You see, the destruction of the family. All right, the creation of a nigga. You Edomites created niggas, man, and nigga culture. Okay, it was funded and financed by you, and niggas, are guilty. Okay, but you Edomites, okay, you're the source of that. You see, and there's a judgment. Okay, so you shed blood profusely, man, and the only way to make it right is your blood has to be shed. And you go to Ezekiel 35. Okay, and see, this is the part you devils didn't consider. You see, when you was in your heyday. Okay, Ezekiel 35:5, it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, which is everlasting hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. All right, and this devil knew no mercy. His hatred is just perpetual, ongoing. Okay, it said, therefore, as I live, said the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Okay, so this devil, all right, he's getting ready to be a victim, okay, of his own wickedness, man. Okay, the Lord's going to judge this devil with the same spirit. Matter of fact, I think in this same chapter, okay, when you read down in this same chapter, the same anger and hatred that this devil has pushed on the tribes, well, the Lord is going to judge him in that same anger. Okay, Ezekiel 35:11. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thy envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. Okay, so just as Esau, just had this perpetual hatred. Well, guess what? Doesn't the Lord say he hated Esau? And see, the Lord finna show his hatred towards Esau. Esau showed his hatred towards us, and the Lord finna show his hatred towards Esau, man. Okay, he finna bring that same energy that Esau, continue unleashes on the tribes, whether it's, directly, okay, or covertly. Okay, well, the Heavenly Father's finna unleash that same type of anger, man. So guess what? He's gonna do it with more power. Okay, so you devils, hey, it only gets worse. You crying about, not being able to pay a bill or being a credit card debt. There's light work compared to what's coming. Okay, and the destruction of America is still just the beginning of you devils' judgment, man. All right, you have 1,000 years of the most rigorous captivity ever known. Because you see, right now we hold a record for the worst captivity, man. Okay, but the scriptures say what? Reward her double. Okay, this is Isaiah 47:5. It says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. Okay, so that privilege that America once had, okay, is being the lady of kingdoms. Okay, well, that privilege is waning. Okay, and it begins with you average Edomites losing your Edomite privilege. Okay, because in this attempt for this devil to establish his new world order, well, there's only 1%, all right, percent of these Edomites, all right, that's going to be allowed to have wealth. Okay, and that's why you're being drained to nothing. You average Edomites. Okay, but then the Lord's going to come judge these elite devils too. They're going into poverty. Okay, and it's going to be 1,000 years of poverty, man. You see, it ain't going to be like you know, because even in Esau Kingdom, you had Jakes that will come up. You know, Jake still come up today. You know, Jake make a way. You know, hey, Jake a hell of a people. You know, when the Lord made Jake, he made a hell of a people, man. Okay, even under the curses. All right, Jake still, you know, able to put something together. All right, eventually it's you know, it be through. You know, but Jake still have moments. You know, even as the tail. Okay, but in the kingdom, man, you devils are going to be impoverished forever because you're not built like that. Okay, it says, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand. Thou hast showed them no mercy upon the ancient, as thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thine heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it, man. So you devils, you never seen this time coming. Because see, one thing about social media, we know Jake has been allowed to see how these Edomites been living, man. These Edomites been living like this. You know, we just found out, you know, how the middle class was really doing it. The upper middle class Edomites, man. We're late to the game. These devils been on this, man. Okay? So these devils, you think, because you gotta think there's Edomites that don't know where the hood is. Okay? They don't even know what their reality is. All right, they just turn you niggas on TV, all right, and change the channel when they get ready, man. They don't have to deal, okay, with the realities that most Jake have to deal with. Okay, so you have to understand these Edomites, they don't see no end. You know, for the longest they haven't seen they even, you know, this economic crisis that's is happening now, man. Esau didn't see this coming, man. These devils, you know, have been set for generations, man. Okay, so now that the roosters are coming home to crow, you see, these devils ain't built for that, man. Okay, and it's just the beginning, and it only gets worse. But Esau, he wasn't thinking of an end of his kingdom, man. These devils only think when you're living and enjoying the earth, man. You're not thinking about, you know, a judgment that's to come for your whole nation, man. When all you know is your people, all right, are in these blessed situations. You got this strong network, okay, of functioning. You know, all you know is functioning families, and you see, and you know, having this disposable income and all these different things, and you know, inheritance, and you know, you're not thinking about the end, okay, and your whole nation is going to be judged, man. Okay, but now it's here. You see, you said, therefore, here now, this that are given, okay, that are given to pleasures, that dwelleth carelessly, that says in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come upon thee in a moment, all right, and one day the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments, man. The great abundance of thine enchantments. You see? So this place has been founded upon witchcraft, wickedness, okay, murder, all right, great robbery, deception, Satanism, okay, and rebellion, all right. And you look at society and you think anything is good is coming to this place. No, man. Okay, the Lord's finna judge this place on a whole nother level. Okay, like I said, we're just in the beginning phases, okay, of judgment, man. Okay, this is the brother GMS in his likeness, you know, the brother the Mathia. All right, this is Jeremiah 49:12. It said, for thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem al Shah, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. Okay, are not thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it, man. Okay, and this devil, he's from the drink of this cup of captivity. Okay, genocide. All right, harsh. Okay, judgment. You know, poverty. He's finna drink of all these cups. All right. He finna drink this cup of all the misfortunes we've had to drink, man. All the punishment that we've had to drink, except it's gonna be double. And the Lord's gonna judge you devils in his hatred, man. We were chastened for our correction. You're gonna be judged according to the Lord's hatred, man. It's gonna be on a whole another frequency, man. Okay. So that's the point, just wanted to get into that. Lord will. All right, you brothers, okay, and you sisters edified once again. Want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.